Great. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the San Mateo County Harbor District meeting, December 21st, 2022. Melanie, roll please.
President Ryrie? President Ryrie?
Present.
Oh, Commissioner Zemke? Commissioner Matoush?
Present.
Commissioner Chang Corrali?
Present.
Commissioner Lorenas?
Here.
Great. We have a quorum. At this time, board will hear public comments that do not have to do agenda items. Members of the public have 2 minutes to address the board. Let me see if I see any hands raised just over here. Alan Madden, you have any hand raised?
Go ahead, Allison.
Thank you. Happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and more. I sent an email. I'm not sure if it made it in time for written public comment. I hope so. I had wanted to follow up on the Safe Harbor workout that the Harbor District did with the BCDC pertaining to the displaced Oyster Cove Marina folks. And as always, thank you very much for working so quickly on that. It really avoided a lot of the carnage that we experienced in Redwood City. And it's just been a lifesaver. I wanted to follow up on some details and nuances, and other people will speak in more detail about this, but I wanted to highlight that the district appears to be using 10% of occupied slips as the 10% of permitted liveaboards, when the Bay-wide standard is 10% of total available slips in the marina. So other people can talk more on that. It was kind of surprising even to BCDC to see that as part of the written workout. I also wanted to mention that the 1 year people expected to be from October 15th. And there's a lot of reasons for that. The rent is higher at Oyster Point and other factors, and other people will speak more to that. I wanted to speak as their representative with respect to making sure that no one who is still at Oyster Cove is in any way frozen out of being able to come over to Oyster Point. And that's because they're really standing on their legal rights. It's our position that people that live in boats that are liveaboards in marinas are very much covered by the Tenant Protection Act of 2019, went into effect in 2020, and it pertains to all human habitation in the state of California. And it's really easy to comply with the Tenant Protection Act, and it's our position that Kilroy didn't do that, and they really just need to.
Thank you, Alan.
I'm sorry.
I see Matt Klein has his hand raised as well. Matt, you have 2 minutes.
Hello, thank you. Yes, and happy holidays. Can you hear me? There we go.
Yes.
Yeah, as Allison had stated, we had spoken to BCDC and clarified the fact that 10% occupancy under their rules as they stand now is 10% liveaboard is under, the total number of slips, not occupied slips. That's important. I'm a holdout, as we say, over at Oyster Cove. I will need a slip, I believe, at Oyster Point after we're removed from here at Oyster Cove at this time. They haven't given us notice under the Tenant Protection Act, really legal notice for eviction yet. But that's coming. So we want to make sure that, I'm able to get in over there at that time. Again, October 15th was our eviction date. We were looking for a year after that. There's also a clarification, the deal that the Harbor District goodly came up with to get us put over there for a year. I believe there's going to be a check in April. We just want to be sure that everybody gets placed with the low percentage of liveaboard allowed by the BCDC It's very necessary, and we're trying to increase that with the BCDC. It's very necessary all of our people have time to get placed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Lucia Lackmeyer.
Thank you very much for your time. We're just really grateful for the Safe Harbor workout. We want to make sure that you know that we all are so appreciative what South San Francisco and the staff at South San Francisco City and the district and Supervisor Pine and the staff of BCDC and the commissioners did with so much speed. We really appreciate that so very much. As we understood it, when when we spoke with Anakin of the BCDC, that it was the understanding that from the October 15th, when everybody was kicked out, there would be there's an echo, by the way, just FYI for the rest of your meeting, that there would be a opportunity for a year. And what happened was when the paperwork came out with our meeting, it suddenly was April. And so this is something that is of concern. Of course, this is going to be a continuing concern for all the people that are displaced. And we are hopefully getting some traction with BCDC as far as increasing liveaboards, but we really are here to request that you increase that time as it was initially spoken of, which was the 1 year, which would go to October 15th, 2023, rather than April, which was a surprise time frame. And again, most folks, because there's such limited liveaboard slips in the Bay, it's going to be a hardship, and it's already a hardship. There are already people that have become homeless or in homeless shelters and living in their cars because of the increased costs that they can't afford. So we just ask respectfully that you address this out of humanitarian concerns. Thank you so very much, and happy holidays.
Isabel.
Okay, I'm just gonna assume you can hear me. I'm glad everyone else is here, and thanks for what everyone else said. And I wanted to add, the 10% of occupancy, I mean, according to, like someone already mentioned, BCDC has said that they're open to adjusting the percentage because it seems to be kind of a random thing that just got decided decades ago. And when they say adjust, it's more, not less. And around the world, international maritime organizations and recreational boating organizations generally agree upon the optimal liveaboard number is actually 15 to 20%, according to the former president of the Marine Recreation Association, Mark Sanders. So BCDC is already looking at that, and it would be, of course, very helpful if people at OPM could live under less stress if they could get a liveaboard. And I'm actually not even speaking for myself personally, because with the huge jump in the difference in rent and the liveaboard fee, I can't even afford to live there anymore. So I'm basically couch surfing and trying to find a solution for myself. But when I moved to Oyster Cove in 2006, the liveaboard fee was $150, and then it went up to $175 years and years later. So for me, $410, paying like times and a half the slip fee for liveaboard is just not doable. So that is something I want, and I'm not the only one who is basically bottom of the barrel, low income, senior, disabled, really not many options. So
Thank you, Isabel. I think her times have been up, but I don't see the clock any longer. Are there any speakers? If not.
Have another hand raised, Nancy.
John Ullum?
I'm sure the previous speakers have noted the rude manner in which President Waring will cut you off when speaking to something that is incredibly important to all of you, but really means very little to the people you're talking to. I mean, you need to understand that your concerns were all dealt with a long time ago behind closed doors, and that there really is no desire for you people to be living in South San Francisco anymore. And about the only hope you have is to put public pressure on elected representatives and hope that they will conclude it's in their best interests to work hard on your behalf. It's very clear that the Harbor District is doing the minimum, that they are working with you. But just from the way you've been treated, the way you've been cut off, it just makes it really clear, and it should make it clear to all of you what your chances are when it comes to this board. The good news is this is the last meeting you will have to deal with Nancy Waring. Thank you.
I think that's it for raised hands from members of the public. So at this point, we'll move on to the consent calendar. I need to note that the union has that we pull consent item number 5, amend the MOU between OE3 and the district. They want an additional with the negotiators. So I'm asking that this item be pulled from the agenda. Do I have any a motion to approve, or does anyone wish to pull an item?
I'll make a
Motion.
motion.
Balance of the items.
And I'll second that, but I do have a question regarding item 5. So is that going to come back to the board later?
I imagine, yeah.
Okay, so we're not going to have to deal with that today, right? As we
Right.
normally do with hold items. So is that correct, Jim? They're not, they just want to have a meeting with you. Is that correct?
Yes, we'll get back together with the union and agree to it again, or a
Okay.
different version of this, and bring it back to the board for approval.
Yep. Okay. So Tom made a motion to approve the consent calendar minus item 5, and I seconded it.
Great. Julie,
Before we
roll-
take, President Waring, before we take a roll call,
Yeah.
I've asked the general counsel to discuss the current status of remote meetings and when we will be required to return to in-person meetings.
Great.
Thank you, President Waring and General Manager. So as you are approving on the consent calendar, the regular resolution to continue meeting remotely under the Relax Brown Act rules, I wanted to give you an update that the governor announced, I think it was last month, that he plans to lift the COVID state of emergency at the end of February. And once the governor does that, the board will no longer be able to make the findings necessary to continue meeting remotely under the AB 361 Relax Brown Act rules. And so this is just to give you a heads up that in March, it looks like we will need to prepare for returning to meeting under the traditional Brown Act rules, which generally meet that the legislative body will meet in person. There are provisions for meeting remotely, but those require that the remote location is noticed on the agenda and available to the public if the board members are going to meet remotely. There's also some new legislation that's effective January 1 that will allow board members to meet to join remotely in unique circumstances when there's an emergency, and there's a whole set of rules for that, including some limitations on the number of times it can be used. But the bottom line is that come March 1st, it looks like the meeting requirements will return to traditional Brown Act rules.
Thanks very much. Are there any questions from the board? Before we take the vote, we have a member of the public who has a comment. John Olam.
Just noticing that you seem to have changed the agenda again, the order of things happening. Did something happen to proclamations portion that was supposed to occur before consent? Thank you.
Okay, it looks like we don't have any other comments. So Melanie, roll call, please, for the consent calendar.
Commissioner Mathush,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Crawley,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Yes.
President Reiring.
So sorry, I'm here. It looks like we don't have any other comment from the public. So Melanie, roll call, please, for the consent calendar mode.
So she just started it, Nancy.
Yeah,
Pardon me?
I just needed yours, President Reiring.
Oh, okay, yes.
I think the internet is cutting off a little bit.
All right, and so we got through the motion, that motion carried?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. All right, so we're gonna move on to our discussion item, which is number 7, migrating mural for Pillar Point Harbor. Jim Pruitt, this is your motion.
Get to my note here. Thank you, President Reiring. It's an honor for me here today to hear from Jane Kim with the migrating mural for Pillar Point Harbor. Jane is a visual artist, science illustrator, and a founder of Ink Dwell. Her art career started when she was a little girl, obsessively painting flowers and bears on the walls of her bedroom. She received more formal training with a BFA in printmaking from RISD, and then attended California State University, Monterey Bay, where she received a master's certificate in science illustration. She has created large-scale public art across the country, including the Wall of Birds at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, and produced works for the National Aquarium at the DeYoung Museum, Leaki Woodson Art Museum, and more. She is the creator of the Migrating Mural Campaign, a series of public illustrations that highlights wildlife along migration corridors it shares with people. She still enjoys painting flowers and bears, but she doesn't get in trouble anymore for painting on the wall. With specific to the project, the migrating mural is a series of murals that showcases along major roads, towns, and cities endangered migratory species and the need to protect them. Each mural is a monument to these animals and reveals the habits and behaviors of hard-to-see wildlife. Animal migrations are one of the most remarkable behaviors in the natural world, yet they often go unnoticed. Even when they take place near centers of human civilization, the purpose of the migrating mural is to express the public to endangered, elusive, and transient animals that otherwise go unseen. It highlights animal migration routes while beautifying human migration routes, and a catalyst for both wildlife conversation and public art. With that, I will turn the floor over to Jane Kim, who will make a PowerPoint presentation and you give more detailed information. Jane?
Hello. Hi. So nice to meet everybody. Thank you for the time today to share our project with you all. Our studio is actually located right here in Pillar Point Harbor, the shops at Pillar Point. So we're right across from Hot Dogma. If you ever have seen us in the window and want to come by and say hi, we very much welcome that. Will I have the ability to share my screen? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. Excellent. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and pull up our presentation. I apologize for not having this prepared in advance. I thought maybe Jim, you would be sharing your screen. So just 1 second, not too far along. Here we go. All right, now I'm going to share screen. Share. Okay, great. You guys can all see my PDF here.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going to go through, how long do I have to present?
15 minutes.
Oh, 15. Okay, good. I thought maybe I'd have to do a speed dating here. But I have a little bit of time to show you our project. So the Migrating Mural, as mentioned, is a series of public artworks that are installed along migration corridors. And this would be our third subject matter. We have done the Sierra Nevada bighorn sheep out in the Eastern Sierra on Highway 395. We've also highlighted the monarch butterfly on its migration route along the US in various states. And so we're very excited to move into a third subject matter, which is salmons of the Pacific, actually. So this is just a map showing the various range. The gray represents their historic range. The pink is their current range. And so we are looking for locations that would follow even interior to the creeks and streams and follow our salmons through their life cycle. So these are just examples of our migrating murals in the past. So these are 8 examples of monarch migrating murals that have been painted across the country. 2 of them here in San Francisco, California. We have 3 in Ogden, Utah, Orlando, Winter Park, Florida, and Springdale, Arkansas. We're looking forward to being in conversation with a location in Missouri next year, the year next. So this isn't a retired series, but we have quite a few of these murals across the country. Migrating murals, Sierra Nevada bighorn sheep. This was our first one. And this is in Independence, California. And so again, on a 120-mile stretch, we followed, basically there's just this small range that Sierra bighorn live, and it's only about a 120-mile stretch. And starting in Lee Vining, we have one there, and heading south all the way down to Lone Pine. And we worked with the Department of Fish and Wildlife and their Sierra Bighorn Recovery Team, well as the Sierra Bighorn Recovery Program Foundation. So what we are proposing is to start our salmon migrating mural project right here in Pillar Point. And these are the 3
Jane just froze. I don't know if anyone else is frozen. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's just Jane.
I can also pick up. If
And
she has.
Thayer Walker, is that correct?
Yes. Hi, I'm Jane's business partner there. Yeah. Are you back, Jane?
I'm back. I'm sorry, I just kind of went on. How much have you guys missed?
That you just started at Pillar Point Harbor, and these were the 3 areas that you wanted to start off at. Yeah, I think she's frozen again.
Yeah. Let me. I have a copy of this as well, and can walk us all through this too.
But maybe I can. So let me.
Hey, Jane.
Yeah.
If you.
I'm going to stop my video.
Oh, there you go.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So Yeah, we're here at Pillar Point. These are the 3 buildings and structures that we have identified as potential sites for our project, as well as introducing a very exciting collaboration with NOAA and Hatch Elementary. So we will be in conjunction updating the signage at Pillar Point, and we'll be incorporating imagery that we use in the murals into the sign as well to create a whole feel for the harbor. And the kids at Hatch Elementary will also be participating in creating some of the imagery for our murals. So this will be our first site where we're going to use the bathroom to tell the life cycle story of salmon, particularly salmon that is relevant to our harbor and to this region. And this is where I would love to have. So here's an example of a mural that I created in San Francisco about steelhead. And it's a similar idea where we worked with the life cycle with the map of watersheds of the Bay Area. And then here's an example of how we've worked with elementary age school children in the past around murals. And so this was for one of our migrating murals. Each of the kids created their own unique milkweed that was incorporated into the mural, and they learned how to paint and the whole process of mural making. So for the tower, this Texaco Tower, I envisioned showing a really beautiful food web, given that it is a commercial and working harbor and that we are so connected to the ocean by way of resources, as well as all of the other sea life in there in this amazing upwelling of nutrient-rich water. So we'd love to shine a spotlight on how special the food web is at our harbor. And so these are just a few murals in our past that are in a similar theme that I can see stylistically being incorporated into that particular mural. And then on the Harbor Master Tower there, I'd love to highlight some of our nudibranchs, which of course are one of the smaller creatures in our ocean, but provide the most dazzling, vibrant colors and really show how much of a party our ocean really is. And so I can see a pattern inspired by nudibranchs. And here's a mural to share an example of how I like to use pattern of animals to then extend that into an interesting design. So this is again a migrating mural from Ogden. And then, of course, as I mentioned, all of this imagery will then be used to update and support the signage that is already existing and in need of updating. So that's a general gist of the overall concept and scope of work. We've begun working on some designs that I'm excited to share with you in the near future. Are there any questions that I might be able to answer?
I have a quick question if this is the right time.
Sure.
So Jane, thank you. I think this could be a really exciting project. So I'm just curious, how did you end up picking your locations? I mean, besides the migration areas.
You know, it's where we feel, so it's like kind of twofold, because sometimes we really enjoy using a very remote location because it's so anchored to habitat or environment, but other times we choose a location because we know that it's going to be visited a lot and there's a huge opportunity for there to be an educational component. And so all of, as a scientific illustrator, all of my imagery really comes with a narrative around science, communication, and education. And so we really love the harbor as our grand opening for this project. It speaks so perfectly to the ways that we're connected to the ocean. So we're really thrilled. And I know that there's some incredible restoration work that are being done in our creeks in Pescadero around salmon. So it feels like this is a perfect location for that.
Okay. And just, I mean, there shouldn't be any safety issues, right, Jim? I mean, with the painting on the Harbor Master's Tower.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It will bring a lot of great information and conversations, though, about protecting the salmon and their migratory routes. So very much
Well, I
looking
mean,
forward. Looking
it
forward
totally
to it.
fits right into when we supported the Bay Delta plan for, with the Golden State Salmon Association. I don't know if you know about that, Jane. That was done, or we supported that as a board, I think back in 2021. So that, the salmon could migrate.
That's so excellent.
Yeah.
I think that was more the Tuolumne River Trust.
Yeah, but I mean but they were also working with the Golden State Salmon Association. So I mean, it's all interrelated, right?
Yes, of sorts.
Yeah.
We don't have a migration there this time. Anyway, I guess my concerns are that we've got a real large remodeling project, rebuilding project in the works for the harbor. I look at the fuel dock and, our leases say the lessees are responsible for maintenance. And I just wonder how we put a baseline on the building to say, okay, we put this beautiful mural up and we got to repair a bunch of things and repaint periodically. And when I think about something on the restroom, how is the restroom going to look after the build out? And the same thing with the harbor master's office raised portion. Will this even still be there after the build out, or is there going to be another form? And I'm wondering what the timing on a project like this would be, because I'd hate to see a beautiful project just torn out and down when we have to rebuild.
Yeah, this is a great point. Thank you, Tom. Thayer, did you see you just turned your mic off? Did you want to respond?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of those, questions really have to do with the harbor's plans and when they're going to happen. These are as public installations. These are works that can last a decade, 10 years, 20 years, no problem with the right ceiling. So in terms of, say, the Texaco Tower, which may need some repainting and things like that, we're gonna we would want to have a fresh coat of paint put on there before we began, and then we seal everything. So there's no reason to think that the work itself won't last for a decade or even two. As it relates to the build, to the development plans of the harbor, I think we'd want to find out more information from the harbor about what those plans were exactly, when they are. We've heard in speaking with Commissioner Pruitt, we've heard a bit about about those plans, but we also created. We're developing these concepts in a way that will also allow us to be flexible in case it comes to mind that, or comes to light that one of these buildings is going to be, remodeled sooner rather than later. So I think that's probably information that we really want to just get a better understanding of from the commissioners.
And I'd like to add a little bit to that too. And depending on that timeline, so even if it was like, say in 5 years, the harbor would get renovated. Between now and that 5-year period, we still think that it would be really valuable to set a standard for what the harbor can be and represent visually. We just worked with a project in San Francisco for St. Mark's Square, and there's going to be a renovation project down the road too. But until that is they put up a temporary, like what they're considering a temporary mural, which is temporary. When they say temporary, they're like 5 years from now. And we saw in real time how much it's uplifted that square and the way that's already changed people's experience in that setting. So I think that it's great to know which buildings will be affected, as Thayer mentioned, but I think that even if there is some window of time where it's not going to change, putting these murals up would still be a benefit.
Have you come across any in all the work you've done in the Western United States, and I think you mentioned Florida as well, are there groups that we could apply, or you could apply for grants for funding?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go ahead there.
Yeah, this all came about actually because a Deborah Hurst, who some of you may be familiar with, is working with Hatch Elementary and their Oceans Week there. But she and Carol Preston of NOAA, Carol actually submitted a grant, which we should find out about in the next month when the federal budget comes out, if we got it or not. So it's likely, or it's not unrealistic to think that within the next sort of 6 weeks or so, we might have the budgeting of all this project solved.
That's excellent to hear.
It is excellent to hear.
Commissioner Lorraine or Matoush, we've been working in coordination with Jane and Thayer on the buildings and which ones may or may not be affected by the new tenant row building. As you know, we had that public meeting a couple of weeks ago to get input from the public and concerned citizens that on a proposed location for the new building, and there was support for a lot of different locations. So we'll be bringing that to the board for final decision, but working closely with them. And it's my hope that when the new building is built, we'll be designing a new mural to go onto the new building that is in line with the migration routes and the salmon. So if we replace the bathroom, hopefully we can get Jane and Thayer to come back and paint something on the new building.
Sounds perfect.
And to that note, Jane mentioned it earlier, but we are in the process of developing the designs. We're actually nearly complete. So whether it's the next meeting or maybe it makes sense when we find out about the final funding to present those ideas to you. But they're nearly ready to share.
They're cooking.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. I'm sitting on my hands. I want to show you all so badly, but we're not quite ready. Oh, I did mention, I don't know if this was mentioned to you, but in downtown on Kelly and Main, our studio did just put in a new mural that was for Seacrest. It was a gift from Seacrest Elementary to celebrate their 25th anniversary, and that is also an ocean mural.
So Jane, just really quickly, who's actually doing the painting? Is it you or do you have a group of or team of artists?
Yeah.
Or
so myself and a team, and we assemble a team depending on the scope of the work.
And are they mostly local artists or who do you team up with?
Yes, we have a local artist who is apprenticed here at our studio full time, but then when we build out our team, we often build out depending on location. So in this case, of course, we would be looking for Bay Area artists to come join this project.
Okay, I mean, I'm sure that you have everything organized, but there was just a mural that was done in downtown Half Moon Bay on the Cunha building. And the artist is Julie Engelman. I don't know if you're familiar with her work. But I don't know if she's going to be part of your team or not. But I mean, I think there's that mural, and there's another one, I think, with the wave with Mavericks. I have y'all seen those as well? And I mean, I just want to include the local artists because it's so meaningful for us to have local artists on the coast to actually be a part of a coast, a harbor district coastside project. And so, and I'm not trying to tell you what to do and who to hire, but I just don't know who you're considering. And I just want to kind of put in a plug for our coastside artists as well.
Thank you. Yeah, no, we appreciate that. Yeah, every project is different in terms of how we build out the teams. So yeah, we'll definitely keep that in mind and have certainly worked with a number of local artists on a per project basis. So that's always our preference too. On that note.
Hey, sorry, my internet cut out.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jane. I was just kind of addressing the comment. And then just to
which I didn't hear. Could you repeat it?
Yeah, I just mentioned that, every project is different. And so we staff them accordingly, but we have in the past worked with quite a few, artists that live actually in Half Moon Bay or El Granada. And certainly always, that's always our preference when we can. So there's a nice talent locally to draw on. And
I actually missed Virginia, your original comment.
Well, my comment really, Jane, was I don't know who you team up with, but we do have some wonderful coastside artists. In fact, I would say that what a very unique feature of the coast is our artist community. And like I don't know if you've had a chance to see the murals downtown, but there's one on the Cunha building, and also there's one of Mavericks. And
I love that one.
Which one? The Mavericks one?
The Mavericks one.
Have you seen the one also? Yeah, the Mavericks one is great, but have you seen the one with that really depicts like the coastside from Pescadero all the way up by Julie Engelman? I don't know who did the Mavericks one, but
the new pumpkin mural, or is
yeah,
that...
the pumpkin one, but it's not just pumpkins, it's artichokes, it's farm workers, it's Pillar Point Harbor, it's the crops in Pescadero. I think artichokes and Brussels sprouts too. So I mean,
and
I know
sunflowers.
Yeah, sunflowers. I mean, have y'all seen? I just want to make sure that we're supporting our local coastside artists who actually bring so much to the coastside. So I hope that y'all will. I'm trying to put in a plug for them as well to include them.
Yeah, sure, of course, and I appreciate that plug. Absolutely, we would be more than happy to be supportive of that community here while we are creating this, and encourage them to all visit our studio here in Pillar Point too. So we would love to, become more in community with the other creatives in this town.
Great, thank you. I think it'd be meaningful for everyone, and
Yeah,
really
absolutely
emblematic of the coast.
Yes, I love that feeling here in Half Moon Bay, and having our studio here. It is so clear that this is a very tight-knit community, and I really appreciate that.
Well, up and down, I mean, there's a whole thing, the whole artists enclave at the South Coast Artists Alliance. I think that's what it's called, SCAA. And I know that Julie Engelman, who painted the one in downtown Half Moon Bay, is from El Granada. So I mean, the point is just being inclusive of our local artists, I think would be fantastic.
Yes, awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
If any other commissioners don't comments, I think this item informational only, and thank you, Jane and Fair. I think this looks just beautiful. What an exciting.
Thank you. We're excited too. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for coming today and presenting to us.
We have public comment too.
We have a member of the public who has a comment. Catherine Critter.
And Ed has his hand up.
Ed, you have your hand, sorry. Catherine.
Go ahead, Catherine, you should be able to speak.
Catherine, you there? Maybe, I'm not sure if she's there. Ed, do you want to go ahead and make a comment? We're waiting to see if we can. Catherine seems to have dropped off. Commissioner Lorenz.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I think this is a great project. It's consistent with our mission statement, with everything the harbor is about. I love the fact that it includes students down at Hatch. I look forward to seeing it come to fruition. And thank you, Jane, for bringing it to us. I think it'll be fantastic.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, it looks like we're ready to go on to item 8. Thanks, Anne, Jane, and Thayer.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Happy holidays, everybody.
Same to you.
Thank you
again.
Bye. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to number eight, which is in building water damage repair project construction change order approval. And John Moore, and this is your item.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This staff report is a motion to authorize the general manager to approve change order request number 1 from the construction contractor, Bogle Brothers Construction, Inc. for the administrative office building water damage repair project for an additional amount of $51,500, and authorize the general manager to approve additional change orders up to 30% of the new adjusted project total, that is $126,500, in the event there is a need for change orders due to still unforeseen challenges in the future, or additional work is found needed. And authorize an increase in capital expenditure appropriations of $164,450 to be funded by available working capital. On October 19th, 22, the district board approved the general manager to enter into an agreement with the low bidder, Bogle Brothers Construction, Inc., for $75,000 with a 30% contingency for unforeseen challenges to complete the repairs to the district's administrative building. The low bidding contractor began pulling permits and found that to meet building code, a more expensive 2-layer garage ceiling was required for fire safety. Subsequently, the contractor submitted a detached change order, which includes an additional $36,500 for the upgraded garage ceiling. District staff sent the change order request to the district's insurance adjuster for review and requested they consider an insurance settlement adjustment accordingly. The insurance company adjuster agreed, and the district insurance company obligated itself to pay the additional amount, which after deductible was $35,015.33. The district will now be reimbursed for this project by the insurance company for a new total of $103,000. Subsequently, the district also found that the 2 second floor restrooms, the linoleum floors were in need of resurfacing, and the outside gutters were in need of repair. And this is an opportune time to do it while the contractors are already here. These 2 additional repairs will cost $15,000. Therefore, staff recommends the board approve change order request number 1 for $51,500 and adjust the 30% contingency accordingly for a new construction project total, including the contingency of $164,450. And again, $103,000 of that is covered by our insurance. Therefore, staff recommends the board approve the aforementioned motion. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, John. Any questions, or do we have a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. I don't see any public comment. I don't see any board member hand raised. Melanie, roll call, please.
Commissioner Chankrali,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Yes.
President Reiering,
Aye.
Commissioner Mateusz.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 9. Pillar Point Harbor C1, 2, and 3 parking lots and launch ramp access road repair. Low bid construction. Mr. Moore, and this is yours as well.
Yes, Commissioners, this is mine as well. This is a motion to authorize the general manager to enter into an agreement with the low bidding construction contractor, American Asphalt, Inc., for the Pillar Point Harbor C1, 2, 3 parking lots and the launch ramp access road repair project for an amount not to exceed $727,868, with again a 10% contingency in the event there's a need for change orders due to unforeseen challenges, and authorize the general manager to issue change orders up to the contingency amount and approve an increase in capital expenditure appropriations of $800,654.80 to be funded by available working capital. The Pillar Point Harbor parking lots C1, 2, and 3 are asphalt, and the asphalt launch ramp access road are all very heavily used. The heavy use and saltwater exposure have caused the asphalt to fail over the last 14 years since last resurfaced. The project includes all repair, resurface of all 3 asphalt C parking lots and the asphalt Pillar Point Harbor Boulevard access roadway from Johnson Pier Road east to the concrete launch ramp staging area. To effect the needed repairs, resurfacing, and thermal paint striping, staff advertised an invitation for bid in accordance with the Public Contract Code. Bids were opened on November 29th. There were 4 bids received, and American Asphalt Inc. was found to be the lowest qualified bidder at $727,868. Therefore, staff recommends the board approve the motion as drafted. Should the board approve the bid, staff will move forward with permitting and consult with American Asphalt team to arrange a construction start date, taking into consideration weather challenges, the high use demand times, the fishing and crabbing seasons, so that the launch ramp can still be utilized as much as is possible. And most likely began in the spring of 2023. During the construction, attempts will be made to lessen all impacts on all users. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. John, are there any commissioner comments or questions? I see John has his hand raised. Mr. Ullum?
Thank you, President Barry. I was riding my bicycle over in those lots the other day, and there is no doubt they are probably the worst pavement in the coast side. Has to be done. But something that Mr. Grant said that kind of piqued my interest was 14 years. Are you about to spend $750,000 for a project that you'll need to redo in 14 years? Thank you.
Are there any commissioner comments or questions, or do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Lorena's, Commissioner Lorena's
Oh,
hand raised.
Okay, sorry.
Hello, John. I've got a quick question for you. I suspect I already know the answer, but what would is there any chance to use a permeable surface for these lots? The reason for that would be that because it gets so much traffic, it'd be nice that the parking lot allow water to flow into the ground rather than go into the drainage system that, as we all know, ends up inside the harbor. I suspect that's a much bigger, more expensive project.
Yeah, I wish that there was some sort of, in a less, an area that's less used, some sort of like permeable pavers, that have gaps with sand that allow some of the water to permeate downward can be used. But our parking lots and the roadway leading to the launch ramp take such heavy abuse because of the saltwater environment and the heavy use, that the replacement with asphalt and resealing and resurfacing when necessary is the only alternative that our professionals that I've discussed with were able to come up with. We are working through the general manager and the board's direction, working to improve upon capturing stormwater and filtering it. And that'll be a continued effort.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Now, Commissioner Chan-Crowley, I think you want to make a motion.
Sure, I'll make the motion to, hold on, let me pull up the actual item, sorry. Oh. I will make the motion to authorize the general manager to enter into an agreement with the low bidding construction contractor American Asphalt for the Pillar Point Harbor C1, 2, 3 parking lots and launch ramp access road repair project for an amount not to exceed $727,868 with a 10% contingency in the event there is a need for change orders due to unforeseen challenges, and authorize the general manager to issue change orders up to the contingency amount and approve an increase in capital expenditure appropriations of $800,654.80 to be funded by available working capital.
And I'll second that.
Great, we have a motion, and again, I don't see any hands raised for question, comments. Melanie, roll call, please.
Commissioner Lorenz? Oh, you're muted, Ed. Oh, you're still muted.
Here we go. There it is. Yes.
President Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Matoush,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Crowley,
Aye. Aye.
Yep.
Yeah. The motion carries. And we'll move on to discussion item 10, Ocean Ciders LLC lease. Mr. Pruitt, this is your item.
Yes, thank you, President Ryan and Commissioners. I'm going to share my screen real quick to give everybody an idea of.
Pass around some cider.
All right.
There, you should see the first slide with a blue oval. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, great. In March of 2022, the board approved a commercial activity permit for Seasider, now Ocean Cider LLC, to conduct business on the corner lot next to the post office here in El Granada. Based on permitting requirements, the owner of Ocean Ciders LLC was not able to begin the business on that site. Working with the general manager and the harbor master, Ocean Ciders LLC has located a new location within Pillar Point Harbor. That location's upper Perch Beach, as indicated in the slide that is up. And due to change of location and request from the leasee, a lease is required. So we're switching from a cap to a lease. It's the goal of Ocean Ciders LLC to create a low environmental impact and cherished community gathering spot for the tourists as well as local visitors to our beautiful harbor. They plan on using wide variety, or plan to offer a wide variety of cider, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, during the operating hours. Let me get over to the next slide. You'll see the slide that's up on your screen. The top of the screen is the trailer with a deck and storage shed. All of this is non-permanent and can be removed quickly within a day. And then you see the 4 gazebos, planters, and then in the center is a fire pit and fire ring and chairs around the fire ring. That's what's intended to be set up at the that location on Perch Beach. And here's kind of a crude mock-up, but you can see the trailer posts with rope to define the area, the gazebos and the fire pit in the middle. And this is kind of a gross representation, but I wanted to give a visual to what it will look like coming off the coastal trail. As part of this, ADA upgrades in the area will take place to make it ADA accessible. And the lease requirements for the tenant at the beach will include operator shall be operational by June 30th, 2023. Tenant is allowed to park in our unreserved parking spaces on a first come, first served basis. The lease shall commence on December 22nd, 2022, that's tomorrow, and expire on December 31st, 2025. The tenant's responsible for all utilities. And the tenant will pay the landlord in advance without offset, deduction, notice, or demand the monthly rent of $100 in the first year, 2023. The second year, $200 monthly, and the third year, $300 monthly. And any year after that will be just the normal percentage rate annual updates to the lease or cost of living. The percentage rent shall be 1.5 of the gross receipts from liquor sales plus 1.5 gross receipts from non-liquor sales. Beginning in 2024 of the lease, the percentage rent shall be 3% of gross receipts from liquor and 2% for gross receipts from non-liquor. And 2025 and beyond, the percentage rent shall be 5% of gross receipts for liquor plus 3% gross receipts for non-liquor sales. And they'll be required to submit a security deposit. During the permitting process, the tenant is running into some difficult tasks and requirements from the county per their laws and their regulations. One of those regulations requires the tenant to connect to the sewer main and have a hard connection sewer main at the site. There will be no washing of dishes at the site. They will have a sink in the trailer, but it's expected that they'll use less than 5 gallons a day. And the gray water from the sink will go into a container. The idea originally was to pump that tank every day by a certified company who's authorized to pump the gray water, and then on a daily basis. But the county came back and said no to that and is requiring the installation of permanent structures down on Perch Beach, which the district would like to avoid. As a result, unless otherwise directed, the district will be supporting the tenant in her efforts to seek a variance from the hard connection for gray water tank to either daily emptying or biweekly emptying, whatever is required. We're going to be supporting them to the county. The motion, which is different than what's stated in the staff report, is adopt resolution 2234, approving a lease between San Mateo County Harbor District, a political subdivision of the state of California, and Meredith Kaysen operating as a sole member, Oceansider LLC as tenant. Barry,
Okay.
standing by for
Thank
questions.
you. Thank you, Jim, for working on this. I know that it has had to jump through a lot of hoops at the county level, and I really appreciate the fact that the district has been working so closely in this project forward. Do we have any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Crawley?
Yeah, thank you. So Jim, thank you. And thanks for clarifying that this is going to be a different motion than the one that, well, not too different from the one that in the staff report. I also want to thank Meredith for her patience. I mean, she's had to jump through a lot of hoops, and I'm just glad that the Harbor District has been there to support her. And Meredith, we wish you, I think she's in the meeting. So Meredith, if you're on the meeting or at this meeting, thank you for your patience. We're looking forward to supporting your business as best as we can and providing yet another place for the community to kind of meet up and enjoy themselves.
Thank you. We have the public, John.
It sounds like what you're essentially talking about is a party pit. And I used to have a great one behind my house out in the woods back when I was 19. Sounds like that's what it is. Is there a provision for restrooms, for example? Really want to start reading the news, and you would see that driving has killed a lot of people on both sides in the last couple of years. Just recently, a friend, Harold, killed on his bicycle. And before that, there was a gentleman who was ran over by a drunk driver down south of town. And do we really need more alcohol being served in public? I mean, we have a lot on the coast side. Read the police blogs. There is just a constant stream of people being pulled over for drunk driving. And these aren't kids. Most of these people are middle-aged adults that come over here or go out to the pub down south or the party in the Harbor District or the pub here or the saloon there. And there are consequences for that. There's consequences from making alcohol so readily available to be consumed by people who will then have to drive home. And it happens a lot. I don't know if you're going to enter that into your equation or not, but I sure would like to have the question answered is, where are people going to go to the bathroom? Where is that cider going to end up? That kind of thing. Thank you.
Commissioner Mateusz, you have your hand raised.
Put down my hand first. So I admire the amount of effort that went through to try and set something up like this. I'll tell you, I did some events within the Princeton footprint, and working with the health department is not an easy thing. So I commend her and wish her all the success in the world.
Great. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion
I'll
to approve.
move to approve
I'll
the
new language.
the resolution with the new language, Jim.
I could read that. Adopt
Please,
resolution.
yeah, please do.
Adopt resolution 2234, approving the lease between San Mateo County Harbor District, a political subdivision of the state of California, as landlord, and Meredith Cassian operating as sole member, Ocean Ciders LLC, as tenant.
I'll make that motion to approve. I think I already did.
Yeah. Do we have a second?
I was trying to second. We were racing each other for the first.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
President Reiring,
Aye.
Commissioner Mateusz,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Corrali,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz.
Yes.
Great. Item number 10 passes unanimously, and we'll move to item number 11, lease for suite 100B. Mr. Pruitt, this is yours.
Good afternoon, once again, President Ryan, and thank you. The board has already approved this lease with two tenants acting together in a partnership to rent out Suite 100B at 504 East Avenue, Alhambra. However, one tenant is no longer involved with the business located in Suite 100B, and Jennifer Oliverio seeks a lease in her name only. The recommended motion, no other changes were made to the lease except for the removal of the partner. The recommended motion is to adopt resolution 2231, approving a lease agreement between the San Mateo County Harbor District as landlord and Jennifer Oliverio as sole proprietor as tenant.
Thank you. So moved. Does anyone have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? No? Okay. Roll call, Melanie.
Commissioner Mateusz,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Corrali,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Yes.
President Reiring.
Aye, thank you. That motion carries, and we'll move to item number 12, General Manager's proposed 2023 goals, objectives. Mr. Witt.
And good afternoon once again. While this is just an informational brief, I do encourage and I would appreciate comments from the public that they can review this or listen after I speak to it and send me their thoughts via email if they would, or give me a call to discuss. With that, I've been working with staff and after reviewing the 2020 strategic plan, the 22 master plan, and the 2006 and 2015 LAFCO Harbor District Service Review and Sphere of Influence reviews, we came up with the following goals and objectives for 2023. Again, today I'm just presenting the goals and objectives, and I will bring them back on January 18th for consideration and approval. And again, if there's anybody has a comment to this or can make recommendations for improvements, please let me know. With goal number 1, work with staff and other partner agencies, resources to identify new sources of income. The district not only needs to be fiscally responsible with current revenues, which we are, we must also improve collections of monies due to the district and seek out and develop new revenue streams to support its operations. For example, overdue slip fees, and with the new ERP system, will be more efficient. And then in addition to commercial activity permits were applicable or additional leaves. As an example, Ocean Cider. They will be bringing in additional revenue to the district. Also, have we ever considered parking fees or taking management of additional marinas like Coyote Point or managing for Brisbane's marina? Goal number 2, obtain funding to properly staff Pillar Point Harbor to increase the district's availability to provide a maritime search and rescue and maritime assist. As stated before, we need $3.5 million in one-time costs for new assets and $1 million in reoccurring annual funding for 6 additional deputy harbor masters in training. Goal number 3, identify or obtain funding for the Johnson Pier expansion dock replacement project. The estimated cost now is $51 million to do that project. And we need to go out and seek outside funding for that. And we'll be working on it in 2023. Goal number 4, keep current capital improvement projects as approved by the board moving forward to include completing the ADA restroom at Tenant Row, begin construction on the Surfers Beach restroom and green space project, Surfers Beach replenishment project, the eelgrass mitigation and dredging, repair C1, C2, C3 parking lots and Launch Ramp access road, expand coastal trail from Launch Ramp sidewalk to Johnson Pier Road and make it ADA compliant. Complete design, engineering, and permitting of the Launch Ramp restroom and boat wash stations, and the Pillar Point Retail Center. Complete design, engineering, and permitting, and begin construction of the entrance ramps and for docks 1 through 6 at Oyster Point Marina. It'll be a very busy year for projects. Environmentally, we want to continue to work with our partners to identify and control, eliminate, and treat sources of bacteria entering the harbor. And that's in line with the Water Board and the TMDL. And identify and eliminate the source of fats, oil, and greases in the Pillar Point Harbor sewage system, which we continue to face problems with. Goal number 6 is to renegotiate the 2018 agreement with the city of South San Francisco for the operation of Oyster Point Marina. Goal number 7, renegotiate the contract with Operating Engineers Local 3 and Teamsters. And develop goal number 8 is develop an execute plan to update district policies to include foundation policies, administrative policies, policies applicable to commissioners, finance, accounting, operations, and personnel. Goal number 9, continue to develop, plan, and provide a report for a permanent dredge in Pillar Point Harbor, which will assist in protecting Pillar Point Harbor, Princeton by the Sea, and Surfers Beach from sea level rise. Develop and implement program to identify and reduce non-payment of slip fees is goal number 10, which I will be migrated and put into goal number 1, I believe. And then goal number 11, publish a quarterly newsletter, maintain SLDA district transparency certificate of excellence. So we have 11 goals, but when I come back in January, it'll be 10. because I'll merge number 10 and 1. And those are the goals that I'm recommending we focus on over the next 12 months.
Thanks very much, Jim. That's all very closely aligned with what this board has been directing through the years since you came on board. And I really appreciate your putting this into the form that it is today and allowing us to see it. We have a comment from a member of the public, Jim Smith. Yes.
Jim, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Mr. Smith, if you're muted.
Sorry, that was a mistake. Did not mean to have my hand up.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see. We have another. I guess that's it. Okay. Any you can take the clock down. Any board members have any comments or questions?
I have a quick comment. I want to thank Jim for actually putting all of this down in writing and taking into consideration our strategic plan and our Hester plan. And, I think, Jim, there's a lot of information here that you've received from, it's in this document, but more information that you've received, just not just from the commissioners, but from the public too. And so I want to thank you for putting together all of this in a way that is easily read and digestible for everyone.
Yeah. Your organizational skills are only one of your many talents, Mr. Bett. Commissioner Lorenz?
Thank you. Jim, as you can expect, I've got a lot to say about this, and I will look forward to sending you more detailed information via email or as a member of the public, as a matter of fact. But for now, I've just got a few comments. I and many other members of the public will oppose parking fees. Pillar Point is one of the few places where you can go along the coast that has all of the items that we have to offer where we don't charge parking fees. And it's a huge equity issue in San Mateo County. It's one of the places where anyone can come and park and experience what we have here. I think public parking, charging for public parking would be number one, opposed by a large group of the public, but also just an equity issue that would be, in my view anyway, a real detriment to the community. And then secondly, on the environmental quality, I appreciate the high value that you place on that, but I'll posit that there's much more to environmental quality in the harbor than just water quality. As you know, the harbor has, it is one of the venues for migrating birds, and we have seal colonies that live in the marine reserve next door to us. And so as you know, there's all these other issues, and I would urge you to put these things in your list so that the public can see it and that it's present. I know it's in our strategic plan, but it'd be nice to see it in not only there, but in your to-do list.
I agree with you.
Let's see. And I agree with you with the idea of the concept of a dredge is a great one, but it also I know that John and you and our consultants have been working on this, but I think it's worth noting that, and noting it in a document, to have a sediment management plan that includes this concept of having a dredge, and then also working with the county and local property owners to continue the living shoreline concepts, starting from the West Trail and moving it, I guess that's southeast, getting rid of some of the unpermitted rock and looking forward to using this concept as mitigation for sea level rise. We have a real opportunity to make a plan and actually implement it. Let's see. I think I'll leave it there, and then I'll work with more detail in an email to you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'd appreciate that very much. Thank you.
If there are no other questions or comments, we will move on to item number 13. Thanks again for that presentation. Item number 13, amendment to employment contract for general manager, Commissioner Crawley.
Thank you. So this, as you know, is an item that that the board appointed Nancy as the president, President Ryring and I to be on the negotiating team. I'm the chair of the HR committee. And so we met with General Manager Pruitt and after meeting with the commissioners as well about the performance review, all of that. And basically some of the things that we were looking at were comparable compensation and vis-a-vis the responsibilities of comparable agencies as well. But there were also intangible qualities, and I invite the commissioners to chime in if they want to talk about some of the intangible qualities. But in any case, those are the reasons that we are asking for this motion to be approved. I don't know if you have anything to say. President Ryring is the other person on the committee.
I do. Mr. Pitt started his tenure at the Harbor District at the end of 2019. And it was interviewed and hired that he brought a wealth of experience with him and that he would be a first-rate general manager, which was something the district was seeking. However, what we couldn't defer were the capabilities he would need to demonstrate when the pandemic hit in early 2020. Jim has led the Harbor District through a very tough time, adjusting staff needs as the public coast and Pillar Point Harbor in record numbers. He had to take care of Harbor District projects like finishing the shoreline and continuing with our dredging project, while also ensuring that the Pillar Point Harbor and Oyster Point marinas were safe for visitors and staff. I've had the privilege of working with him as board president in 2020 and 2022. And during our conversations, we were constantly thinking about safety and governance of our board to meet the public's need. I want to thank you for everything that you've done, Harbor District, San Mateo County residents, and the board will be voting on proposed amendment to the general manager's employment agreement to provide for the general manager to receive an annual salary of $202,000.
I'll make that motion to approve the amendment to the general manager's agreement with the Harbor District.
I'll second it. Any comments or questions? We have a member of the public, John Owen. Mr. Owen, go ahead.
Congratulations, Mr. Pruitt. You have earned it, though not for the reasons that they will articulate. You have shown yourself to be the bravest manager of any public agency that I've ever had the privilege or the pain of participating with. And I'm serious. Just many of the goals that are articulated in your goals for next year wouldn't be there except for you. The Harbor District, the board, did not see any reason to include, for example, Pillar Point Harbor, or I'm sorry, Johnson Pier in its original master plan. You had to force them to do that. You had to force them to face a lot of the financial mistakes that they've made. It was you who forced them to admit and to confront that they simply cannot afford to keep the commitments that were made by Tom Matoush and Virginia Chan Corrali when you started the brave process of getting the Harbor District out of the horrible contract that it has with South San Francisco. And if anything, I would have to say is the only mistake I saw in your list of priorities was that should be your number one priority. It should have been the number one priority last year. It should have been the number one priority a decade ago. It should have been the number one priority half a century ago. The reason why Johnson Pier has the same problems, only worse than it had in 1994, is because of that contract with South San Francisco. And you, sir, are the only ones that had the guts to point that out. Kudos to you. Congratulations. They really like you.
Nancy, you're on mute.
We have a motion, a second, and we're ready to vote on it.
Commissioner Chan Corrali,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Yes.
President Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Matoush.
Aye.
That motion carries. And thank you, Jim, for sticking with us. Congratulations. Item number 14, publicly available salary schedule and special compensation. Julie, this is your item.
Thank you, President Ryring, commissioners. This item is just a follow-up to the last item that you approved. California Code of Regulations, Title II, Section 570.5 requires that the board adopt an amended salary schedule. The salary schedule attached is updating the manager's salary from $189,992 to $232,000, which is an additional $42,008 per year. That amount is expected to be available through the appropriations of the 2022-23 operating budget by way of vacancies that are currently in the budget. So we will incorporate that new figure into the future year's budgets moving forward. With that, we recommend that the salary schedule be approved to include the updated general manager's salary.
I'll actually make a motion to amend the salary schedule to include the increase in the general manager's salary pursuant to the amendment to employment contract considered that we just adopted for the general manager as of today.
I'll second that. Any questions or comments? I don't see any hands. So Melanie, roll call, please.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Yes.
President Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Matoush,
Aye.
Commissioner Chan Corrali.
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And commissioners, at the beginning of this agenda were a couple of items that I moved to the end of the agenda. Presentation of proclamation resolutions, and we will hear them now. First, we have proclamations from the county, from Senator Josh Becker, for Commissioner Edmundo Lorena, and for myself. And Jim, who is presenting those?
It'd be my honor to read those.
Thank you.
These are two identical certificates of recognition issued by Senator Becker to Edmundo Ed Lorenz and Nancy Raring. This commendation is presented in recognition and appreciation of your work on the Harbor Board of Commissioners. As a commissioner, you provided stewardship of our country's maritime resources, emergency response, and public access. On behalf of the people of the state of California's 13th Senate District, please accept our gratitude for your good work and sincere best wishes, Senator Josh Becker, 13th District. And we got a separate, as on the screen, we got separate accommodations for each outgoing commissioner, and we'll be putting those in the mail to you.
Thank you very, very much, Jim.
And then,
yeah, now we have proclamations, presentation of resolutions honoring Commissioner Mando Lorenas and Commissioner Nancy Ryring for their service as members of the San Mateo County Harbor District Board of Commissioners.
and it'd be my honor to read the resolutions. First resolution is Commissioner Lorenas, San Mateo County Harbor District Board of Harbor Commissioners, County of San Mateo, State of California, to honor Edmundo Ed Lorenas. Whereas Edmundo Lorenas was first elected to the San Mateo County Board of Harbor Commissioners in November 2016 and re-elected on November 7th, 2018, serving 6 years as Harbor Commissioner. And whereas Ed served as Vice President of the Harbor Board in 2019, Board Secretary 2018, and Board Treasurer in 2017. And whereas Ed brought with him skills, knowledge, and enthusiasm for wildlife and environmental protection as a skilled blue water sailor and a team leader of the Surf Raider Foundation San Mateo County Chapter Blue Water Task Force, all of which complemented his work as Harbor Commissioner. And whereas Ed supported the Harbor District through COVID-19 pandemic, the rebuild of the West Trail, the construction of a new ADA restroom at the Pillar Point Tenant Row, and the Bay Delta Plan, a resolution against offshore drilling off California, and ocean safety policies with the installation of the Sea Valor life buoy. And whereas Ed consistently championed inclusion of the community in Harbor District decision-making, environmental protection, and the use of sediment management and living shoreline as a mitigation tools for shoreline protection. And whereas Ed gave input to and supported the final design of the West Trail Living Shoreline Project, collaborating with public entities and community members to transform the project to a living shoreline, protecting the West Trail from sea level rise. Whereas Ed was also proactive in providing safety and protection of the wildlife in and around Pillar Point Harbor, he established and served on the Wildlife Protection Committee, gained public input, which assisted development of initiatives and to protect wildlife, including migratory birds and marine mammals. And whereas Ed is a member of the Finance Subcommittee in 2019, provided input in developing the 2020 strategic plan and supported strong budgets for Pillar Point Harbor. Therefore, it is be resolved by the San Mateo County Harbor District Board of Commissioners, County of San Mateo, State of California, that Edmundo Lorenas is commended and thanked for his years of service as Commissioner on the Harbor District Board of Commissioners. Upon a motion duly made and carried this 21st day of December in the year 2022. Also, on behalf of the district and staff, we'd like to present the gavel and plaque to Commissioner Arenas for San Mateo County Harbor District 2018 to 2022. You want me to move on to Commissioner Ryring or let Ed say some words?
No, thank you, Jim. That's really great. And congratulations, Commissioner Lorenas, and thank you for your service. We have a member of the public with their hand up, John Olin.
Thank you, President Raring. Commissioner Lorenas, you did a great job. You put up with a lot from the public, from your fellow commissioners. And I think you were the one who came up looking better than when you came in, which nobody else can say. I think that there's a long list of efforts that could be I could recite of the different things you did that went above and beyond simply voting yay or nay on the issues that were presented to you by staff. So I think I'll focus on the West Trail. As you know, you and Sabrina Brennan really went to bat to make that happen. That what was envisioned was simply a stale concrete wall. And despite the flack you took from fellow commissioners, both of you went out there and made this happen. And many, many political leaders could learn a lot from you, Mr. Commissioner Lorenz, just from simply how you handled yourself with that one issue. This is something that will be impacting Coastsiders for generations. Nothing else that you're talking about recently really comes even close to that. Most of what you guys talked about is pretty mundane policies and fighting at each other. But you, sir, stepped up for our community and made something incredible happen. And though you're the one who least cares about getting the credit that others will take, you deserve the most.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Owen. All right. I think we have
Does Ed want to say anything?
any other hands raised?
I'd like to wait after we recognize Nancy, and maybe the both of us can say something after that.
Nancy, do you want to take any comments from the commissioners?
Sure.
Okay, can I just say something really quickly?
Yeah.
Ed, thank you for your service on the Harbor Commission. I learned a lot about wildlife protection, and I'm glad that you were there to kind of make the public aware of the importance of our harbor ecosystem. That's not necessarily the people part of it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Well, Commissioner Lorenz, this is kind of your moment deep, if you have anything to say.
Okay, I was going to wait till you were recognized that we could go afterwards, but that's fine. I can speak now. I have to say I've enjoyed working as a commissioner, and I think I'll equally enjoy being in the public domain again. So I'd like to speak to the public. Those of you who have attended our meetings, and I know there's not a lot of members of the public right now, but this will at least go on the record. I really appreciate your attendance. It's important that you come to our meetings and give us your input. The district really does need you to stay involved. And remember that the best results are achieved when you come well informed. Some of you go to great lengths to understand what the issues are and bring them before us. And many of you have done this, and I can tell you it really does make a difference. And I'd like to give a special thanks to those who have kept watch on us. They've let us know where you believe we're going astray and when we're doing well. We need to hear both. Keep it up. I know it's a lot of work poring over all those public or PSAs, public record acts that you guys ask us to give you and doing the research, but it really does help us. The district is, I think, in the best shape it's ever been, and this is really because of the efforts of the district's leadership and staff. I can't name everyone I've worked with on our staff, but I'd like to just mention a few folks. Jim, we're lucky to have you, and I'm looking forward as a member of the public now to continuing to work with you and getting to know you better. John, I've spent a lot more time with you over the years. You're one of the finest individuals I've ever worked with, and we're lucky to have you as our operations manager. I know from my work with staff and other folks that work with you that you're recognized as a true leader. And Julie, we are fortunate to have you too. I enjoyed working with you on the finance committee and experienced firsthand how committed you are to the district, and it shows on all the awards we've gotten for our budget. You all deserve a lot of credit for getting the harbor to where it is, and I look forward to working with you some more. My biggest disappointment as a commissioner has been my inability to move my colleagues to have our regular meetings at a time when more members of the public can attend, and also to allow members of the public not only to attend committee meetings, but to have a voice and sit on them as voting members. They are our greatest resource, and I don't understand why we refuse to do this for them. I leave this commission flabbergasted that the commission refuses to allow members of the public a seat on and a vote on committees. However, I'm hopeful for the future of the commission and the district. We have 2 new commissioners joining district next year, and it's largely the result of the district moving to district elections. This will bring much more diversity to the board and result in a commission that represents all of the San Mateo County residents better. And I'm hopeful that when they take up this challenging mission, that they'll work to further the district's ability to work with the public and be more inclusive. I appreciate the opportunity that the voters gave me to serve as a commissioner, and I look forward to being in front of you as a member of the public. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. Yeah. I guess you have another presentation. Very nice. Really, that's really great. A gavel and plaque.
But before we close out and move on to the next one, Commissioner Loranis, thank you for all your work over working with me for the last 3 years. I've learned a lot from you, and I also look forward to working with you on the environmental committee, our environmental issues facing the harbors. So
thank you.
Don't be a stranger.
You know, young won't be.
Next resolution is to honor our current President Nancy Raring as Harbor Commissioner. San Mateo County Harbor District Board of Harbor Commissioners, County of San Mateo, State of California. Whereas Nancy Raring was first elected to San Mateo County Board of Harbor Commissioners November 7th, 2018, and whereas Nancy's commitment, we'll have to change that, to good governance allowed the Harbor District to flourish and focus on policies, finances, and positive environmental outcomes. Whereas Nancy served as president of the Harbor Board in 2020 and 2022, vice president and secretary in 2021, and vice president and secretary in 2019. And whereas Nancy, as president and vice president, guided the development of 2 annual budgets, each of which were recognized for their excellence by 2 national awards. And whereas Nancy, as president of the board, guided the district in the development of Harbor District Master Plan, a plan that has and will impact district operations for decades to come. And whereas Nancy was instrumental in moving several critical projects forward to include the Surface Beach Restroom and Green Space project, scheduled to break ground in January or February of 2023, the Surfer Beach replacement project that will include the dredging of Pillar Point Harbor and the creation of new eelgrass beds and fish habitat, and the replenishment of Surfers Beach through the use of clean sediment, scheduled to begin in spring of 2023. Whereas Nancy Hawes provided the leadership and guidance to move forward with the Pillar Point Harbor commercial building and the Johnson Pier expansion project that includes the extension of Johnson Pier, the replacement of floating docks E, F, and G, and H, and upgraded electrical replacement and reconfiguration of the fuel dock, and a new work dock that includes both sewage and Ole water pump outs. And therefore be it resolved by the San Mateo County Harbor District Board of Commissioners, County of San Mateo, State of California, that Nancy Raring is committed and thanked for her years of service as a commissioner on the Harbor District Board of Commissioners. Upon motion duly made and carried this 21st day of December 2022. Signed, or will be signed if approved, by Commissioner Tom Matthews, Treasurer. And then also the famous plaque and gavel, also to recognize your service on the board against San Mateo County Harbor District 2018 to 2022, Commissioner Nancy Raring. And we'll have this these items mailed to you. And before I just as a reminder, Commissioner Raring, we need to have a vote of approval for both the resolutions before we can sign them.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Well, thank you very much, Jim. It's going to be on the receiving end of a proclamation like that, and I want to thank you. Elected officials may feel sad as they transfer of office. It's the last time that anybody's going to call you honorable when you raise your hand. It's the last time that your single vote can move or block policy. It's the last time you look at the front of the parade, which, by the way, I enjoyed it immensely. But I'm not sad. Today I feel proud. I enjoyed being in office, and I enjoyed coaching others for office. I enjoyed meeting people on the coast who run businesses, have concerns outside normal circles. I enjoyed the support of the public and getting hugged. Thanks just for being decent and honest. And while it's hard getting through the pandemic, I celebrate that we got an A in survival. I really love this opportunity to serve, and I want to say it has been a great honor to have been part of the work of the district. I'm really grateful to have had the confidence of this board to serve as president of the commission and to have been able to work closely with input and preside over meetings. The truth is that our work here, the collaboration between the public, the board, and our staff, and all of us, staff to the heavy lifting. And I just want to say what a pleasure it has been to work with all of you. John Moran, your friendly guiding presence when I was first elected helped us during a challenging year. And as our director of operations, you consistently do this job of moving projects along. Debbie Garrett, who's no longer with us, was an extraordinary presence in the district when I first came on board, and I just give her a shout out. Julie Van Hoff, you are the most capable of finance professionals. I really appreciate you've always been available to answer questions and provide guidance. I'm going to miss working with you. Tricia Keys, you've been invaluable counsel. And of course, Mr. Jim Pruitt, you deserve an proclamation yourself, all you do for our agency. And that really means the taxpayers of our county. You've been a dream to work with. And one of the highlights that I'll take away from us 4 years on the board is having the chance to work with all of you. I'm going to miss being a part of the Harbor District, but I leave knowing and celebrating the fact that our agency's reputation now is that it's the biggest turnaround success story in the county. And I know that there's nothing but good news coming down for the district. I want to congratulate our two new elected commissioners, Kathy Slater-Carter and Murat. Welcome to the Mateo County Harbor District. You're coming on board at an exciting time when projects this board has been willing to move forward, even since before I was elected, are going into fruition. So thank you again to everyone in the district, board members. Thank you for your professionalism, your kindness, your friendship. I'm looking forward to being a member of the public.
Motion to approve the proclamation for President Nancy Raring.
We'll
I'll
also need
second
a,
that. And for Ed Lorenz too. We have to
Yes.
do it for both.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that we didn't do Ed's.
Yeah, so I'll second that. But I do have some comments to make for Nancy. But do you want to, can we have that before we do the vote, Jim, or do you, we probably should, since that'll keep the item open.
yes.
Okay. Tom, I don't know if you have comments first. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I have a few comments here. Having Commissioner Nancy Ryring on the board made a huge difference. I really enjoyed working with her. Nancy set a great example for other commissioners. She played a crucial role in the Harbor District's success and movement forward. Commissioner Ryring was good at cheering everyone up. She had an extremely healthy perspective and was a problem solver. We could use another whole meeting to cover accolades to describe Commissioner Nancy Ryring. Commissioner, thank you for your service.
I'd like to make a comment.
Thank you. Yeah. Commissioner
Well, I'm
Chang-Kelly.
going to echo what Tom said, but I want to thank you, Nancy, Madam President. I don't know of any other commissioner who's literally been an officer of the board pretty much the entire time, the 4 years you've been on this board as an elected representative of the San Mateo County Harbor District. And you have shown your commitment to good government. And I mean, we're not always perfect, and especially during the pandemic when there was just so much uncertainty and, you know, trial and error, but overall, your commitment to ethics, your commitment to financial fiscal responsibility and environmental protection. I mean, it's pretty much outlined in your resolution or your commendation, and it's all well deserved. But Nancy, it takes a lot of courage for you to do what you have done in the last 4 years, 3 of which were probably 3.5 of which, maybe 3 1/4, when you were just a commissioner, newly appointed or newly sworn in, not appointed, you were voted in. It took a lot of courage to take the arrows of the public who didn't agree with you or the board, and that's okay. That's the whole process of, you know, making the Harbor District better. But you carried yourself with grace and courage, and that is so rare in a leader. And I've learned a lot from you in that way, and being and just being a better person. And I'm going to miss you a lot, Nancy, and I hope that you'll still stay involved. I mean, I just think you have so much to add. And I appreciate your leadership, your courage, your friendship, and all that you've done to serve not just the Harbor District, but all of the residents of San Mateo County, because you were elected countywide. So thank you for your service.
Thanks so
And
much.
I mean, if we're at the end, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We haven't approved the resolutions, have we?
Oh, sorry. We have to vote. So should we
Melanie-
do a roll call?
Melanie, roll call for the resolutions, please.
President Ryrie,
Aye.
Commissioner Mathush,
All right.
Commissioner Chang-Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. That motion carries. And now have Commissioner comments. Do any commissioners have anything they would like to report out? If not, do any commissioners have future agenda items they'd like to bring up this time?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I
Hey.
would second that.
Commissioner
Wait a second.
Lorenz, you raised your hand?
Oh,
I
Ed.
do have a
raises-
quick commissioner comment. I just couldn't find the raise your hand button.
Mhm.
I'd just like to use this opportunity to say a few words about the new commissioners that will be here next year. Catherine Slater Carter has been on the coast for a long time. She's been active on coast side, both as an elected, but also just as a member of the public, advocating for a multitude of issues. We've even traveled down to Morro Bay to present at the Coastal Commission hearings back in the days when we were working together as members of the public. I think she'll be a great commissioner, and I look forward to seeing her on this commission. She's cares a lot about the coast. And our other commissioner who comes to us from Pacifica, George, he also will be a fantastic commissioner. I really look forward to working with him as a member of the commission. I think both Catherine and George are exceptional individuals who really care about what happens on the coast side. And good luck to both of you.
Jim, did you have your hand raised?
Jim, you have your hand raised and something's going crazy with the Zoom screen.
You're on mute.
I do have my hand raised.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, President Reiring. Want to discuss the last item real quick in honoring and commending President Reiring as a commissioner and officer of the Harbor Board. Again, Nancy, it's been a fantastic pleasure working with you over the last 3 years. You've taught me a lot, and you brought a lot of value to my job. So I appreciate that, and you're one reason why I tell everybody that the Harbor District is a great place to work and exciting things are happening. So I thank you for your leadership and all of that. The other thing is for the operational report from the general, or monthly report from the general manager. I just want to say that liveaboards, the number of liveaboards both at Pillar Point and Oyster Point are based on the number of slips, not the number of occupied slips. So under the BCDC and Coastal Commission at Oyster Point, we are allowed 41 liveaboards. As part of that, liveaboards, Oyster Point had 2 categories of slip owners with respect to liveaboards. One were permitted liveaboards, and several other were under a title of extended stay, which there is no such thing. So I directed staff to start moving all those extended stay to liveaboards and at the 41 cap. So we'll buy ourselves a loan in existing liveaboards and those on extended stay. We come up to be 40 or 41 boats. The April deadline is only a check-in deadline, where the city and the district will be checking in each of the visitors from Oyster Cove to see how they're progressing and seeing how we can help. And those without a plan will be a little bit more aggressive on them so that they find another place to live. And we are back down to 10% by October. That's all that I had to report.
Great, thanks very much for that, Jim. Hang on just one second. We have a member of the public with their hand raised, John Olam.
Just want to second Ed's comments about Catherine Slater Carter. Catherine Slater Carter and myself would probably not agree on a lot of things, but that lady is smart. She knows what she's talking about, and she cares about what she gets involved in. And as a successful business owner, and she really is such a thing, she understands how an enterprise district is supposed to work and why it's simply crazy to even consider taking on management functions at any other facility
based on your experience with the management functions you have taken on in South San Francisco. And Nancy, if you would turn down your volume, you wouldn't have this echo. Thank you. That's it.
Now I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I will second it.
Oh, beat you. All right, well, Melanie and everybody have happy holidays. Happy New Year. See you on Zoom.
Thank you.
Excellent.
We have to do a
vote on
roll
the
call.
adjournment?
Melanie, roll call.
Commissioner Mathush,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Corrali,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Yes.
President Reiering.
Aye.
Great.
care,
So the
everybody.
meeting's adjourned at 3:07. Thank you and happy holidays to everyone.
You
Take care.
too.